Ladies and gentlemen, music hall.
What is a laugh, after all? What is a laugh? What is a chortle? I mean, when the human mind is tickled, why don't your ears light up or your nose go funny, turn green? Why this explosion of ha 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 ha?
Basically, we're here to make people laugh. And I think that's the hardest job in the world.
The hardest job in the world, with due deference to the people who service nuclear reactors, or Ian Duncan Smith's publicist. But a job that James Joule and Benjamin Warris discharged with great skill for over 30 years. Pantomime, music hall, revue, theatre, radio, film and television. A century's worth of entertainment evolution, working alongside the likes of Joseph Locke, Dick Hills, John Pertwee, Claude Dampier, Tessie O'Shea. They even gave Lionel Blair his big break by inviting him to choreograph one of their shows. For this alone, how can a grateful nation ever repay them? When they were first asked onto radio, they were naive neophytes. They asked for separate mics positioned up and down stage, forgetting that the audience wouldn't know the difference. But they soon got the hang of it.
Thank you. Thank you and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's music hall time again, and as usual, we have a grand bill lined up for your entertainment. And now we bring you a turn which I know you're all going to enjoy. In fact, it's a real knockout.
Yes, it's a knockout, Harry. Here I am. Who do you want knocked out, Harry? Who do you want knocked out, eh? I'll have a go.
I thought as much. Jimmy Jewell, he's
That's
turned
right.
up. That's the idea. There you are. My dear James, what on earth are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Job levy, Harry.
What?
I asked the taxi to take me to the Albert Hall. They brought me to the wrong place, music hall.
But what do you want the Albert Hall for? And what's the idea of going around in that appalling dressing gown?
I've taken up boxing.
You've what?
I've taken up boxing. Having a go, like, see?
You've taken up boxing?
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't. Why?
I read the other day that some boxers make £10,000 a year, so I'm going to be a boxer, like.
You are?
It is, yeah.
Well, my dear James, I don't believe you've ever had a fight in your life.
That's just where you're wrong. I've had lots of fights.
Really?
Yes. The most enjoyable fight I ever had was with Gene Turney.
With Gene Turney?
That's right.
You mean Gene Tunney? Gene Turney's a glamorous film star.
That's right. The most enjoyable fight I ever had was with Gene Turney.
But if you're really keen on this boxing idea, meet me in the bar in the interval, and we'll have another talk about it.
Thank you, Harry.
What?
Oh, I'm going to make you proud of me, Harry.
Yes?
I'm going to make you proud of Jimmy, Harry. I am. Jimmy Harry's going to make you very proud of him. That's what he is, yeah.
Very nice to know. I'm very pleased.
I'm very glad you think so.
Yes,
Harry. I'm
that's
going to make
fine.
you, Jimmy's going to
Yes,
make you
all
very...
right, all right, that's enough.
This double act made its debut when first cousins Joule and Warris, born in the same bed, in the same house, 6 months apart, sang the 5:15 Hear the Whistle Blowing, dressed in sailor suits, to a parlour audience of aunties and uncles. They were 4 years old. Jimmy's natural inclination was to stay in the wings, where he was learning his trade from his performer dad. But he was soon pressed into service on stage.
My father did a pantomime, his own pantomime, at the Alhambra Theatre, Barnsley. He was a trick scenery merchant, my father. He used to make trick scenery. And he devised himself a cabin scene, a bunk in a ship, on rockers. But in the scenery, he'd built trapdoors all over this thing. And he wanted a midget to come out dressed in a leotard. He was supposed to get drunk, with little horns on his head, red leotard, you know, like a little devil. And eventually he stuck me in this suit and made me do the trapdoors. And I rehearsed about 3 days. I knew how to do them. I came through them and did what we call a lion's leap through and roll over and got up and frightened him. And there was a little sort of chalk mark in the middle where you had to put your 2 feet, so that the centre of your feet were over this chalk. And I got too far over on the left-hand side. And the stage hands pull you up on counterweights and shoot you through the trap. They take the slider out and you come up through the stage. And I got too far over and hit my shoulder on the left-hand side and broke it.
Surprisingly, this early experience of doing his own stunts, as modern Hollywood would put it, didn't put young Jimmy off. Ben, on the other hand, was a natural child performer, singing and mimicking the stars of the day. But even his decision to take to the stage wasn't entirely voluntary.
My mother decided that I've got a good voice and that I should sing some songs. So consequently, when I was about 5 or 6, I used to entertain the troops. Anywhere where there are soldiers or people or Red Cross, my Benny will sing.
All right. Stop gargling. That'll be quite enough of that noise, James.
Oh, will it?
Of course it will. That's no way. That is no way to say hello to the ladies and gentlemen.
Ned?
Of course not.
Get away.
If you're going to sing at all, you should sing a little song like this.
Ah.
Oh, welcome to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sweet ladies and gentlemen. Sweet ladies and gentlemen. Oh, welcome to you all.
Well, that's better out than in, isn't it?
My mother was a stage-struck person. Apparently her mother used to take her around in the days of Vesta Tilley and let her listen to them. And when I was a little boy, I can recall my mother in Sheffield taking me to the first house of the Empire and the second house of the Hippodrome. And she always wanted me to be on the stage.
In 1925, Jimmy's dad, James A. Jewell, put on a show called Explosions. Now, in time-honoured showbiz fashion, Jimmy and Ben's recollections vary at this point. Jimmy recalls that a few weeks into the run, belts had to be tightened and cast lists had to be pruned. Ben remembers his dismissal rather differently, though, as he told a giggling Mike Craig in this 1986 interview.
My father and mother were very close with Jimmy's mother and father, and Jimmy's father was a North Country comedian, a very good comedian he was too, and earned a lot of money. So he had himself, my auntie worked, my cousin Mona, she worked, Johnny, her husband, he worked, Jimmy worked, and they made the mistake of doing a new show and putting me in the show. Well, the jealousy, you can imagine. Our Benny's doing this and our Jimmy's not doing that, and our Mona should be doing that, and why's Benny doing this? Until one day at Doncaster, there was an unholy row. I was taken out of the show, and that was the end of young Benny being in the same show with young Jimmy and Mona and all the family. We finished up with a punch-up at Doncaster, at the Hippodrome Doncaster.
Jimmy's autobiography records that Ben crept up behind me, clouted me on the side of the face, ran upstairs to a dressing room and locked himself in. I couldn't get at him. There would have been 13 at the time. Eventually, familial differences were smoothed over and the boys made their own way in the business. They'd often considered forming the double act over the years, but finally got it off the ground in a spirit of sheer chutzpah and bravado.
I was doing a single act, Ben was doing a blackface singing act. And we'd always talked about doing a double act because we'd seen, I don't know, it seemed to be the thing at the time. You got there a lot quicker if you did a double act instead of a single act. And I was working the South London Palace with my single act, getting £4, and the Collins Theatre Islington getting £3. I was doubling the two theatres. So I'm staying in these digs, and the phone went one day, and Mrs. Bradley said, "You want us on the phone?" And my father said to me, "What are you doing such and such a week?" So I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, they've offered me the Palace, Newcastle." And on the Monday, the manager came round to the theatre and said, "Is there anybody that can do 2 spots?" Because Marion Cohen, which was a Jewish act, hadn't shown.
Jim and I looked at each other and we said, "We do a double act." He said, "Do you?" "Yes." "What kind of act do you do?" I said, "Oh, cross-talk and singing, dancing." "Oh, well, would you like to take Marion Cohen's place?" "Yes, we would." Jimmy's father looked at us. He said, "You cheeky buggers. You haven't got a double act." "I know we haven't," I said, "but I've got plenty of gags." And he's got plenty of gags. Between us, we can finish with Bye Bye Blues, if he's got it. And we can do about 8 or 10 minutes.
Oh, dear.
He said, "You can't, you don't know that." We said, "Leave it to us, don't say a word." So Mr. Rowe came back and said, "What music do you want?" I said, "Bye Bye Blues." He said, "He's got that in the library, have a talk." Mr. Rowe has now gone to see the girl to tell her to alter the programmes. And Uncle Arthur's standing there looking at us with his mouth up. He said, "Where are you going?" We said, "We're going upstairs to rehearse." "What are you going to rehearse?" We said, "We don't know." He found the little bowler hat his father wore that didn't fit him, and he put it on like that. Made him the copy at the moment, the funny hat.
Yeah.
I was the straight man at the front. "Ladies and gentlemen," chat in.
And we went in the dressing room and knocked everybody's gags off in the business. Norton and Gold, Flanagan and Alex, you name it, we knocked it off. Knocked up a dance routine to Bye Bye Blues and went on, and that night, and there was a chemistry.
Yeah.
And we'd realised that there was something there, and we made up our minds after that week that we would team up, and in the October of 34 we teamed up, and that's how it started.
Ah, thanks, barman. I see you have my usual double whiskey already poured out for me. Here's luck. By Jove, this drink packs a wallop.
Yes, so do I.
Oh. Hello, James. What do you think you're doing dancing about like that?
Doing a bit of shadowboxing, Harry.
Shadowboxing?
Yeah, shadowboxing.
Tell me, have you tried punching the bag?
No, she's not on duty tonight.
Well, now listen, James, you're quite serious about wanting to fight, aren't you?
Of course I am, Harry. Bring 'em all in, bring 'em all in. The bigger they are, the harder I fall.
Well, you'll be very pleased to hear, my friend, that Jack Solomon's phoned up to say he'd been listening to what you said.
Yes.
And he's fixed it up for you to fight Randolph Turpin.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll go in there, I'll knock him at... Who?
Randolph Turpin.
Randolph Turpin?
Yes.
How long has this been going on?
Oh, don't you
Is he bringing Black Bess with him?
No. Didn't I tell you a few minutes ago?
What?
It must have slipped my mind.
He signs my death warrant and it slips his mind.
It'll be quite all right, James.
I won't do it.
Yes, you will.
I've changed my mind. I won't.
You will.
I won't.
Of course you will.
I won't.
Oh, just imagine, my boy, it's the night of nights.
Yes, yes.
The Albert Hall is filled with celebrities.
Yes, yes.
And the crowd are carried away.
They'll be carrying me away in a minute.
And now the referee's called them into the centre of the ring. They're both sparring round for opening.
Yes.
And Jewel's found one.
I have.
They've just put you back in the ring.
They've just put me
And
back.
there they go now. Turpin leads with a left to the right, and a right to the jaw, and a left, right, left, right, left.
What? Halt! I say, Ben.
Yes?
I'm giving him the old 1-3.
What's happening to two?
I'm getting that.
Well, don't worry, kid. The BBC commentator climbs to the ring, and he brings you the microphone.
Does he?
And he asks you what it feels like to be fighting Randolph Turpin for the championship. James, my boy, tell me, what do you have to say to all these millions of listeners? How do you feel to be fighting Randolph Turpin?
Help!
Life was good, but not lucrative. Many times in their early career they had to scarper the letti when they didn't have the rent. But solvent or not, the show must go on. And before it could go on, they had to get there.
Now, we were going to the Argyle Theatre, Birkenhead, where we were getting the large princely sum of £12. And on the Sunday, in those days, the ordinary fare from London to Liverpool or Manchester was 12 shillings. But you could get a trip ticket for 5 bob. But you couldn't take any luggage. You could only take a little hand case. So Ben and I turned up at the station with 2 Innovation trunks, golf clubs, typewriters. Ben had his wife. So I said to Ben, let's give the porter $1 to put the stuff in the truck. We'll get the 5 bob trip tickets. And this is what we did. Got on the train. And then I thought, bit dicey this. So I said to him, look, I'll get off at Crewe, get a ticket from Crewe to Liverpool. If anybody stops us, I got on at Crewe with all the luggage. I did this, got off the train, got back on, got to Liverpool, and we're starting to pull the stuff out the luggage van, you know, all the trunks and things. And there's a guy with gold braid on his hat with 2 coppers walking down behind him with a telegram in his hand saying, Jewel Warris, Jewel Warris, Jewel Warris. Came and looked up the labels on the trunks, you know, and he said, you Jewel Warris? Yes. He said, you've travelled on trip ticket. No, we haven't. No, I got on at Crewe, I said. He said, look, son, all the pros pull that on a Sunday. Come with me. So we went into the luggage hall and they weighed the luggage and it came to 38 shillings. So we dug down in our pockets and in his wife's handbag and we managed to get the 38 bob. So as we're going up, we're now skint. My father had this pub in Denton, so as we're walking off the platform, I said to Ben, look, I'd better phone the old man, and he'll wire us a couple of quid tomorrow, and it'll see us... I don't want to know, he said. You've just cost me 38 bob. But I went in the telephone box, and it was at the time when you had to put the 2 pence in. The operator answered you and couldn't hear you speak until she said, press button B and get your money back. So I put the 2pence in. She said, press button B, and 18 shillings and 6pence in copper fell out.
So Jimmy and Ben had their fair share of luck and were living, if not the Dolce Vita, then certainly more Dolce than a lot of northern comics had it. But it wasn't enough for 2 ambitious lads who were determined to see their name in lights.
We were out with the big employers because we were getting £27 10 shillings a week, paying 10% commission and living on that, living very well. We both had a car, we both had golf clubs, we both had a typewriter, and we lived like fighting cocks. But we were very, very ambitious. We both thought the same thing. We must try and become stars. So we said, we're going to ask them for £35 a week. And our agent said, I'm not going to ask them for £35 a week. He said, I've got a little act called Ted Ray, and I've got a little act called Charlie Caroli, and I've got you and a dancer. That's all I've got. If they fall out with you, they're not falling out with me. So I phoned up and asked them if we could get £35 a week, and the voice came back, where can the act be seen? I said, next week we're at the East Ham Palace. He said, the act will be reviewed, and put the phone down. We played the East Ham Palace, and the following week we go in our agent's office, and our agent said, I'm not ringing. If you want to talk to them about money, you ring them. So I phoned up, and I said, could I speak to Mr. Gollop? He said, oh, yes, we've got the review. Would you like me to read the report? I said, yes, please. He said, the report says you were reviewed on Tuesday night at the East Ham Palace. You are a very bad impression of Miriam Mooney and the O'Gorman brothers, and are not worth £27 So we departed to Scotland.
Regardless of this critical dismissal, while they were away performing in Scotland, their reputation south of the border grew. As with many comics of the era, their big break came via radio.
Oh, you'll never guess.
Up the pole! Yes, it's the first in a new series of adventures with Claude Dampier, John Pertwee, Betty Paul, Roger Snowden, the five Smith brothers, Stanley Black in the orchestra, and of course that crazy couple, Jimmy Jewell and Ben Warren. Since we last heard from our two heroes, they've moved into an apartment over a disused fire station. And our story begins there one brisk morning in early autumn. Jimmy is cleaning his teeth.
Well, I wish you'd come out of the bathroom, James. You know, you've been in there for hours.
Am I?
Yes, and tell me, why you're getting all dressed up this morning?
Well, I don't like to tell you.
Oh, go on.
No, I'm shy.
Go on. Tell Benny what I know. I know.
No, I shan't tell you.
Oh, yes, you will. And
No more.
I've guessed it. It's something to do with Betty.
No, you're so clever, Ben. Go to the top of the class. She's calling round to see me this morning.
You mean to say you've asked a pretty young girl like Betty round to this dirty old fire station?
Yes, it's her birthday on Saturday, and I want to find out what she'd like for the presents, so there.
Well, listen, why don't you ask her yourself?
I can't, Ben.
Why not?
You ask her.
Oh, no.
Every time I see Betty, I go all to pieces.
Oh, you don't?
I wish I was more the kind of man she admires.
Really?
I wish I were a film star.
Oh, it's not
I'm
all...
so Robert Taylor.
Oh, that's not all been wonderful being a film star, Jimmy.
I'd love to be Robert Taylor.
Don't you realise that one day you're kissing Betty Grable, Lana Turner, Dorothy Moore? The next day, you're just a has-been.
But, brother, just look where you has been.
Oh, yes, I mean, once you'd cracked it with sound radio, it had much more impact than television does today. I mean, many people that used to listen to Ben and I on Up the Pole really thought that I was a little man that was bullied and looked awful and little fat man. They were most surprised when we used to come to the theatres to see us. I mean, we'd been on the air with about 8 weeks with Up the Pole, and we did our first bill for Moss Empires at the Hippodrome, Wolverhampton. It was a great feeling when I walked in on the Monday morning, and I said to the manager, is there any advance? Very tentatively. He said, you're sold out for the week, even the standing room's sold. And this is what radio could do for you.
Hello? Someone at the door.
Oh, it'll be Betty.
Don't worry, don't
I'm
fuss.
going to faint. I'm going to faint.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I'm going to catch me.
No.
Oh, go on, catch me.
Oh, no.
I want to be calm.
Oh, stop it. Listen, I wish you'd stop larking about, Jimmy.
Well, out of the way. Go on, open the door, Ben.
Oh, I will.
Hello, Ben.
Oh, good morning, Betty.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hello, Betty. Won't you come in?
But I am in.
Yes, you are in, aren't you in?
Take a seat, Betty, darling. I think Jimmy wants to ask you something.
Really, Jimmy?
Yes, you see, Betty, Saturday's your birthday, and
Yes.
at such a time, I feel that the time has come for it to be the right time for the time
What is the time, Ben?
10 o'clock.
Good gracious, no bed's made. Well, I feel I'd like, that is, if you don't mind. Oh, you tell her, Ben.
Oh, don't be silly. You tell her.
Well, I just want to tell you I'd like to give you a little present. That's all, a little present.
Oh, Jimmykins.
Oh, she called me Jimmykins. Catch me, Ben.
Oh, stop larking about. I don't want Betty to know I'm living with an idiot.
Why not? She knows I'm living with one.
Oh, shut up.
The 40s and 50s were Jewell and Warris's halcyon days. They finally honed a comedic partnership, something akin to an English Abbott and Costello, one smart, the other hapless. They even attempted to conquer America, but a slow death on the Ed Sullivan Show, where they were introduced as Jewels and Walrus, soured any affections they had for Uncle Sam. Instead, they played to their strengths as one of Britain's best-loved double acts. So what was it about them that worked so well? Broadcaster and collector of Comedy Archive, Fred Housego, and John Byrne, cartoonist and comedy writer.
I think the secret of a good double act is the relationship between the two characters. And in most double acts you have two defined characters. The traditional style is one is a straight man and the other one is a comic one. But I think with Jewell and Warris particularly, we often say in comedy writing that humour is based in truth. And in essence with Jewell and Warris particularly, they really were that classic comedy double act of two people who we all know, you know, friends of ours, maybe relations of ours, maybe our dads, and yet basically just taken to extremes. And we can see what happens when those two individual people who we meet work together and bounce off each other.
And they conform to one thing, which is basically what you might call the disciplined older brother and the loose junior brother. In other words, one's trying to keep the other in hand, and that's what sparks the comedy. But if you look at those two, they are a classic double act like Morecambe and Wise. They come together as young men, they polish and hone their act to a point where they second-guess each other. They are equals, but one is the straight man. He is the guy who is trying to keep discipline on the stage at any given time, and the other one either misunderstands him or is completely not listening. And they spark off between each other.
In terms of the serious person in the act of the straight man, unless he does his thing, his serious thing, it doesn't give the funny person anything to work off. I think the nature of comedy itself is that quite often what makes us laugh is something that happens out of the ordinary from the real world. So in a sense it's the straight man who presents the real world that we can then relate to, so we can laugh at the funny stuff happening.
By the late 50s though, radio variety of the kind that served the nation well in darker days was on the wane, and the heart seemed to go out of Jewell and Warris's performances. They made an uneasy transition into television and soon realised it wasn't for them. Ben Warris became unreliable, turning up late for performances, and seemed to have lost his rapport with the audience, much to Jewell's dismay. Jimmy, in fact, was later to say, "I suppose I must have sounded like a nagging wife having a go at the errant husband, and like in some marriages, the time had come when there was no real communication left. One partner has all the energy, while the other wants to go his or her own way." This particular marriage dissolved in the late 1960s. Jimmy went on to become a household name alongside Hilda Baker in the seemingly interminable Pledge's Pickle Factory comedy, using the term in its loosest sense, Nearest and Dearest, and then later as a straight actor. Ben Warris retired from showbiz to run a restaurant near Bath, eventually lured back to compare a good old days variety show in Blackpool, and henceforth into straight acting himself. Through rich times and lean, they were able to remain friends. "We had a wonderful life," said Ben. And as for Jimmy...
I'd liked it to have gone on, but I mean, everybody has their day, you know, and we decided that once we started to slip, that was the end. We weren't going to go on, we weren't stage struck. There were other people coming along, Eric and Ernie and the brothers and things like that, and you know, you can't change your image, and it was time to stop.
Life was very kind to us, very kind. From 1942, we did 13 seasons at Blackpool in 20 years. We were together 35, and I think 25 of those were stars. Life was very kind, and the public loved us, and we were very grateful. Very grateful indeed.
No, it was just, it was one of those things that I think that when you've been together a long time, there isn't the closeness that there is when you first start. I mean, when Ben and I first started, we lived in the same stinking combined rooms, we shared the same beds, 25 bob a week combined room, and I think that we were growing apart, and I think that I have great sympathy for a straight man because he's there, the comic gets all the laughs and all the plaudits. And I had great sympathy for Ben in this because I really think that Ben wanted to be a comedian. Inside him was a comedian wanting to get out. You see, the years that I spent with him taught me so much. He was probably the greatest straight man that has ever been in this country outside of Chesney Allen. And there's a line in the Sunshine Boys where the nephew says to him, if it was so bad, why did you stay together for 43 years? And he says, why? Because nobody could time a joke the way he did. Nobody could say a line the way he said it. He knew what I was thinking, I knew what he was thinking. One person we were. No, Al Lewis was the best, you understand. And that could have been written about Ben.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for now, and so it just remains for me to say... It just remains for me to say...
Gold of the day, boo 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 boo. Someone waits for me at a boo boo boo.
All right, James, it's...
A bo-de-o-do
All
and a
right.
ha-cha-cha.
Never mind about the bo-de-o-do and the ha-cha-cha, my boy. You can run away. It's time to go home now.
I want to sing.
Oh, no. You want to sing?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I found out that bloke makes £10,000 a year from singing, so I want to sing a song at it.
All right, well, listen. You can sing some other time, my boy. The show's over now.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh,
There's
yes,
still
it
5
is.
minutes to go, and I want to sing a song.
Listen, if you'll take my advice, you'll take a few music lessons from our genial conductor.
Our conductor?
Yes.
Does he know anything about music?
Why, of course. And just to prove it to you, my boy, I'll ask them to play that little piece they were rehearsing this afternoon.
Really?
Yes.
What's that?
The Sabre Dance by Katachurian.
What?
I said the Sabre Dance by Katachurian.
Harry,
What?
every time you say Katachurian,
Yes?
you spray me all over.
Well, never mind. Ray, play.
Perhaps you chaps have heard a song that goes like this. It's murder, ziggity bum bum, ziggity bum bum. Isn't it a proper soppy song? Nah. All on one note to start with, then you get the tricky pop with ziggity bum bum, ziggity bum bum. Make the words up as you go along. Nah. Oompa, oompa. The music's by a Russian hound, that Russian lust percussion. Boom bum bum, boom bum bum.